This isn't a Christian podcast. This isn't like specifically in church, but we're not afraid of like.
No.
But we are going to close and pray.
And we're rolling, right? Is
Yeah,
that,
we
is
are
that,
rolling
is
on.
that on there?
Yes, please.
Welcome. This is Hit Repeat with Conbad, Damien, and Jed. We're back.
That's right.
We're back.
All right. This episode is sponsored by Jed.
Well, actually, unfortunately, we lost our sponsors after the first 3 episodes because they didn't really appreciate the content or think
that bad.
it was that bad. So we have lost all sponsors at this point, but we're hoping that this episode will change all of that, and maybe we'll pick up a new sponsor. Unfortunately, we are no longer sponsored by Tap Water, but hopefully we'll get them back on the next go-round.
What is in your cup? I'm getting fumes off that thing.
Don't worry, it's not for younger musicians.
All right. Today's title is Band Dynamics and Taking the Back Seat, or The Master, the Servant, and the Saboteur. And joining us today, ladies and gentlemen, Emmanuel Adigun,
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
affectionately known as Cupcake.
And I just want you all to listen to his voice throughout the course of this podcast. I mean, it is as sultry as a Barry White record.
You guys don't pay me enough for this.
You don't pay anything, so.
All right. So just to give you a little bit of context as to who E-Man is it okay if I call you E-Man?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
He has probably mixed, on average, about 2 live shows every weekend for the last 10 years.
Yep.
He is phenomenal as an engineer, and we regard it as a privilege to have him here.
Yeah.
Indeed,
having me.
indeed.
All right.
Yeah.
So, E-Man, in 2 sentences or less, why do they call you Cupcake?
So yeah, cupcake came from, I don't know, a friend of mine that's like, we were having cupcakes together, and it's like I was about to eat one and he goes, "Hey, Cupcake," and I'm like, "Hello." And that's where it came from.
He had
I
a
was
nice
like,
little glaze in his
yes,
eye. Right?
yeah. We're both married now, but yeah.
All right.
Wonderful.
That's where the
It's a
name
good
To
came
each
from.
story.
other or
But
to
like,
other people?
other people.
Okay.
Other
Other
people.
people.
Good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still
there
Cupcake.
was nothing. Yes, yeah, still
All right.
Cupcake. There's nothing really to the name. Yeah.
Okay, well, fantastic.
boring.
So, it's like we said, it's a privilege having you here.
Thank you.
And today we're speaking about band dynamics and taking the back seat in a band. So, maybe in a nutshell, what do you understand around band dynamics?
So when I look at bands that I've worked with, lots of times, it's very interesting to see people that want to shine and people that want to just enjoy the music.
Why are you looking at me
And-
when you're talking about people who
Okay.
want to shine? All right, man. I'll
Because
just enjoy it next
I
time.
know your background, Jed.
Grumpy old guy.
Let me shine, damn it.
So, and band dynamics always comes out when the people that should be like almost like taking a back seat during a moment in the song, they just all of a sudden just jump in, and you going, okay, that wasn't your moment yet to shine. And then like the people that are actually shining, so let's take a drummer for example, like whacking off on his cymbals.
Whoa.
Word choice.
How far are we? 3 minutes into this podcast? But I think I think
You were right there.
we just doubled our subscribers.
These symbols used to be brighter.
Cheers.
All right, so
Start again.
Carry on. No.
no restarts here.
No,
You
we're
said
going.
it.
Emmanuel, the filth. Oh,
I told you he
God.
was
You
going to
guys just
sound.
put me on.
I told you he brought Barry White to this room.
Nigerians. You can't have a party without them. Symbols. Back to the symbols.
So a drummer trying to I don't know, bring out a
Play.
moment or play
Yes.
their instruments,
Banging the drum.
banging,
Banging the drums. Yeah. That's,
and not in a very quiet moment in the song. And I think I can only speak about live shows because like I see it coming out quite a lot, and it's a thing that I think bands can work on, or actually band members can work on in terms of like hearing what the other guys sound like and actually trying to find a way to just fill in and to contribute more to the song as opposed to trying to shine
Yeah.
in the moment. So
Well, for one thing, I imagine you're sitting at the desk and like all of a sudden the drums bring so much volume and intensity to the scene, and all of a sudden you have to pull back on the mixer so that, the audience, the crowd doesn't like freak out because all of a sudden there's just drums and loud cymbals. It probably makes your job pretty insane.
yeah, no, it's very true. Let me pick on guitars for a moment.
No,
as well.
please don't.
I'm sitting with two of them and one drummer, and also, actually all three of you are guitarists, and I think it works out great. And I'm going to look at Damien here, because when a guitarist contributes something that you don't expect to a song, like in the moment, it sounds so sweet. Like it can happen in the background, but like it's.
So is that like a lick or like a sweet little
I don't
line?
know. That
fat
it
chord?
could be anything. Like you just like it's something that you mix in the guitar. It's like in the mix. It's right there, and you just hear that thing in the background, and you're like, let me give that thing some life, and it's always sounds great. It's same thing with a bassist as well. That you just play in line and just does a little fill, and then just goes back to just doing the line again, sticking with the kick, and so like it is a combination of a whole lot of things that when a band comes together and them just listen out to each other and like just feeling each other, and it sounds great.
You
Feeling each other.
you obviously play bass as well.
Yes.
Do you find maybe that in a mix you would favor maybe a bassist a bit more sometimes, or maybe be more attuned to what a bassist is doing, so that when he does add a little fill, like you said, to actually champion that and boost that a bit in the mix?
Yeah. I'm always biased towards the bass, to be very, very honest. But like I always look out for something that's unique in a mix. And so yes, everybody should hear the voices, but like a mix, a live mix, for example, or for a show, like always should sound the best, like what the artist or what the person that's leading the band or whoever put together the song, what they're trying to do or what they're trying to contribute to the music or to the song should come out in a live environment, and it should contribute. I think the audience should hear that lead instrument.
And you're trying to translate it on the
and
other
trying
side.
to So when I'm on the desk, it's not about favoring the bass, because bass sounds good. Yes, Jed? It does, yeah. So
Bass is hugely important.
Yes,
Well,
yeah.
Even though all these unsung heroes of music seem to be bass players, people don't realize how actually absolutely important the bass actually is.
If your rhythm section sucks, like game over. There's
Game
nothing
over.
you can do.
Game over.
because when the bassist locks in with the drum, it's just something new, something different, and something exciting happens there. So
No, but I was thinking, like, in terms of like the kind of context that you find yourself mixing in. I think that so many people who we involved with are either playing or mixing it in a church environment. Like, we have that kind of conversation about like music can be so dramatic, like the band coming in all at the same time, or pulling out, or gradually growing together as a band, as opposed to just the drummer like jumping out of the mix. But I think we talked about it actually quite recently, about those kind of mixes. You would just leave the levels that kind of at one place and let the band. Like
Almost
in terms of
lead the
like
song.
church, in the church environment, I see you kind of riding faders more. Like, I don't even know what my question would be, but like, I think, is it a case of like the better the musician, you can ride it less, or do you feel you have a part in that process as a guy mixing?
That's a good question, man.
I think the better the band and the musicians on stage with the band, you literally just leave the desk and you let everybody else just like do their part in the band. And I think it's always sweet to hear when the band just when they hold off and just listen to each other and they just play off each other, and that song comes through, or the what they're trying to play in the song just comes through. And so going back to your point about like what in a live environment, for example, in a church, it is always interesting for me to always see how people are actually listening, if they're actually listening at all, because the busier you are, I know that you're not listening to anything.
Yeah.
You're just trying to fill in a gap, or you just see it as a time for you to start playing. And it's always very interesting on the sound desk, because you've got this, you're managing 30-something channels, and like you're trying to like bring or add to the music as it's happening, or as the song grows, to reach a crescendo, to almost like give everything like a boost and a stop smiling at me. I know what you're thinking. So to almost like give the music life, and you but like if it starts way earlier before, like you're like, okay, there's no way the song is gonna go to, or there's
Hit
no
the
way,
ceiling.
like you can't do anything, like because everybody's giving their all from verse 1. So
Yeah.
it's always very interesting in a church
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
And new every time. I mean, I was just thinking this is an extremely cool podcast, and I wish I said it at the beginning. So if you made it this far in the podcast, good for you. This is an extremely cool one, because as musicians, the audio engineer, especially in a live context, for one, isn't just the guy or gal who just turns up the master fader and turns it down and is just like responsible for volume. What they're actually doing is dynamically trying to control what happens on stage, so that the audience is receiving something that is amazing. You know, otherwise, I mean, the audience isn't going to hear a vocalist without coming through the system, or a guitar amp on stage. So it's the live audio engineer's job to make what's happening on stage a powerful experience for the audience. And let alone, I mean, you've mixed thousands of shows, and many of which have been in this church context, where you're dealing with different bands who don't get an opportunity to practice, and you don't get an opportunity to anticipate what they're going to do. When bands go on tour, when bands play, when bands go into the studio, they have done a lot of pre-production, and the engineers have sat in on that and have mixed that already, so they know right here is where
The solo comes in.
the solo comes in. Right here, there's a drum fill. Right here is when we need to hear the kick. But you don't get that chance. So you are just like, it's like go time for you. As musicians, it's important for us to realize that you're not the guy that's just raising volume and lowering volume and making sure, you know, there's no feedback. Like, your job is to make a dynamic experience for the audience, and we need to remember that.
Yeah, that's true. And I think you touched on an important point there. Like the sound engineer most of the time, like, should know the song, should know what's going on, should learn the what the band is about to give. In terms of like the next song, or the structure of the song, or where it's going right now. Is the guitarist going to start playing a solo now, or are they playing an intro? Is that the end of the chorus where the guitarist plays a line, and you need to boost that then, and you're not waiting for a vocal to just come in there?
Yeah, so young musicians and old musicians, do your sound engineer a favor.
Yeah.
Tell them, or give them a cheat sheet, give them something that says a guitar solo is going to come in here, so that they know they can boost you. Otherwise, your guitar solo is not going to get heard, and the audience is going to actually see that that person's ripping on stage, but I can't hear it.
nothing is
Something's
happening.
wrong.
Yeah.
So
But
hook your engineer up.
Do you think maybe as an engineer, because so Eman, you've mixed us as the Capitals a few times, and it's so weird having you as an engineer, and then having to, because sometimes you go to a venue and they maybe have a resident engineer, and you know, you look up and the guy's just sitting on his phone. It's like when you were mixing, it's almost like you can subconsciously feel like someone is carrying you through the whole set. And we've even gone so far sometimes as giving the guy sort of a rough cheat sheet thing. Just, you know, like, here's a song. It's sort of, because some of our songs are basic structure. We just go verse, chorus, guitar solo. Like, as a guitarist, I'm like,
for you,
know, make a big circle.
And then you rap, and then you rap,
and then you rap, and you know, some engineers just don't respond to that. It's So I don't necessarily know whether it's maybe, are you really wanting to be an engineer? Do you really want to grow? But I mean, it's a teamwork effort, and in terms of band dynamics, like you're saying, you need to respect the engineer because he can actually make or break your sound on any given night. And that's it's teamwork. It's got to be everyone working together.
Yeah. No, I think I've said it before. Like, forgive me if we've said this a million times actually, but like you can have a very average band and a great sound guy, and he just will elevate that band, or you can have a great band and an average sound guy, and he can be that bottleneck. But I was just thinking in terms of like different musicians, like if you think of a bassist or a drummer, in the church kind of context, what are common things that you hear that you say, hey, I wish they would do less of that, or what do you like to hear from the different instruments?
So we were talking about cymbals just now. I think cymbals is one of the top things on my list that I will tell the drummer to maybe like just play softer.
Drummers don't like that.
Sacrilege!
Next point.
Thank you for that note.
Yes. Should play like a background drum thing there.
One thing I want to ask about is maybe the interplay between lead vocals and backing vocals.
Great.
How does that what kind of constructive advice can you give there to
backing vocals quieter?
No, obviously, but
Okay.
but I think it's maybe not sing backing vocals the whole time, because unless that's your sound, doing that thing where you
if
kind
they're
of
doing like a duet,
laddering
yes,
together or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know if laddering is the technical term.
I don't know.
I wasn't even.
That's
paying
what happens to
attention you. What did
stockings.
he say? Lathering?
Laddering.
Laddering.
Like
As
when
in,
your
like,
stockings
going
get ripped.
together.
jumping together on the melody. Anyway, sorry. So you
I
were
don't know.
saying?
So I'll depends on the song. Again, going back to, but a backing vocal should give the leading guy or girl space to do their thing, and it's almost like a supporting role, backing vocal, and it shouldn't be I want to outshine the leading vocal. It should be I'm supporting this thing, and almost like, unless if they're singing a duet, we spoke about a duet just now, unless if they're singing a duet, like they shouldn't sing in the same register. Is that the right word, Jed? I think it should be I'm trying to complement whichever, like if they're singing a melody, like try and find a harmony that works for the parts that you're singing in the song. So
Speaking of things not working, how often, when you have a band up there, do you just not bring someone up in the mix? Just kind of like, oh, you're doing great, buddy, and you're just slowly pulling the fader down to 0. Oh man, we love what you're doing. Yeah, keep it going, and just not at all letting them show up in the mix.
lots of times.
This is a good time for a word from our sponsors.
Oh, I guess that's why we don't have any.
All right. Well, actually, let's take a moment there. So I've got this thing, right? This is the Take Your Pick bowl.
It has arrived.
It has arrived, but quick little disclaimer. It's got a bunch of papers in here. I shouldn't lie. It's bad. I ordered picks, mass-produced from China. They got stopped at the border, so we don't have those picks yet. So I had to print them. Obviously, it's just
True story.
On a
True
boat
story.
somewhere.
It's the product of the month we're in.
so. This is what we have, E-Man, just so you know how it works. I've got some names and things in here. I think for this one we can maybe team up, so you can quickly sort out teams just after here when I'm pulling the name from here. So I'm gonna pull a name from this. It'll either be something like bands or a solo artist, or I don't know. There's a whole bunch of random things in here. I hope I wrote it down legibly and understandable. And then you have 30 seconds to rattle off as many as you can in a team. Best or most answers win.
And there's a huge prize at
there's
the
a
end.
massive
Brought to you by
prize.
our sponsor.
Our sponsors, yeah. So, how do you want to do the teams?
I'll hook up with this dude, man.
All right, cool. So I will start here with you guys. When I say the title, your 30 seconds start. Actually, no, Damien, you draw.
So you guys do the thing. You guys draw for yourselves, and then you go, and then we draw a different one.
Oh, we can do that.
Or
I was
we
actually
draw
thinking
for
we draw
you
for you
or-
and you draw for us.
Okay.
Yeah. So Damien, you draw
This will be very
a
interesting.
thing there,
Okay.
and when he reads the name, your time starts.
Okay. European bands.
Oh,
Oh,
U2,
goodness.
the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Coldplay, the Kinks, the Clash, Sex
Queen.
Pistols. Oh, thanks for bringing in Queen. That's great. That's very helpful. You've I've
Yo.
mentioned a bunch already.
Okay, you got 10 seconds.
Led Zeppelin. You've got. See now, this is where it all
Yes, yeah,
falls
this is
apart.
it's like
Alright.
like a
9.
Europe.
Nine.
I think it's about 9. That's
I
good.
thought that was so.
Did you say European? I just went straight up UK on that.
Yeah, oh, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
we just-
I wanted to
MC,
European, but
MC,
no.
Sol-
of
MC
Base.
Solar, Ace of Base,
Ace of
Roxette,
Base.
There's a
ABBA.
whole Scandinavian crew waiting to be.
All right. So obviously, if they missed anyone, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to be able to.
I missed no one. We got everyone.
Rub
We
their
missed
It's
all
about
of them.
faces.
100,000 bands.
All right. Okay, Jade, can you pull a timer on your phone there? Oh wait, you can't.
I don't know my phone.
Because I'm not gonna waste my time on watching the clock. I want to beat you guys.
You're not gonna.
Oh please.
All right, ready?
No, wait. I just gotta take a sip of water.
He has it on the 4 minutes.
Set that
All
thing.
right.
All right.
Ready? Pull,
Yeah.
pull one.
Am I?
I'm quite
Damien, you
nervous.
ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Roxette songs.
Joyride.
Joyride, dressed for success. She's got the look.
Good grief.
I don't know if we're gonna max this out.
Winning.
Oh, this is bad.
You wrote this.
Is that
I wouldn't
actually
know
a
any of
category?
those.
Roxette songs?
Yeah, why not?
Did write a couple of songs.
They had. You know, the worst thing is I know that a lot of their songs are songs that we didn't even, like, you don't realize it's them.
Yes.
Weekend.
They were an amazing band.
Okay, she's got the look. I said that one.
Done.
Are you serious? We got 3.
That's what it felt like.
That is so embarrassing.
Next.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner.
Is that it?
It's Jed and
High five.
G-Man.
Yeah, you did it.
No, you brought Queen into the mix.
2 rounds. Is that it?
All right. There was a specific topic I wanted to get to, but I think
Yes.
let's leave that over for the next episode.
Roxette
Um,
songs.
Roxette songs.
It's a
No,
whole episode
it's,
dedicated.
yeah, it's more just like leadership in a band, but we'll get there. So for now, if you have suggestions for the Take Your Pick bowl, let us know and we'll add them in
In the comments below.
Eventually, we'll pull them out of the bowl. You can follow us on social media on Instagram and TikTok at Hit Repeat Official. We're gonna do a video on top 10 unsung heroes in bands.
That's right.
So you can find that on our YouTube
Should
channel.
be good.
And then we've also got another thing planned for how to not succeed in the music industry.
It's very important.
Yeah. So if you do like the podcast, you like what we're doing, hit subscribe, hit the bell, share, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your grandma.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
And what's the anyway? Let's
gonna end it.
not finish that line. And then obviously the podcast is available on podcasting platforms. See you guys next week.
Toodles.
Bye.